السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I am Miss Nurhan Tariq from Safa Azharian Institute, and we will start with Concept 2, Unit 4. In Lesson 1, we talk about when you are outside and you're playing football, then you go home, you will need to clean your shoes and wash your hands from dirt that came from the soil. But what is the soil? The soil is a loose layer or delicate skin which covers the earth's crust. How are soil and environmental change related? There are different types of soil that varies from one place to another. As they are composed from different materials, the environment varies according to the type of soil in it. Because the soil has an important role to determine the type of plants that can grow in it, and this also affects the species of animals which live in an environment. And also the environment affects the soil as when the air temperature increases in an environment, the soil will dry and may lose its nutrients. Soil variety. Composition of soil differs from one place to another on the Earth's surface, and this is the reason for the presence of different types of soils. But what are their examples? From the previous pictures, you can notice that there are some differences and similarities between the different types of soil as shown in the following table. Similarities and differences. They have different colors and textures. The size of soil particles may be large, medium, or small. But what are the differences? All types of soil are composed of natural components. All types of soil keep the life on Earth. What do you know about soil? The soil is a basic factor for all natural ecosystem on Earth. The soil is formed of some ingredients such as sand, gravel, minerals, which are formed due to breaking down of rocks through the weathering process, organic materials such as dead plants, living organisms, and water. Notes: some living organisms make their shelters in soil such as worms and insects. How does soil form? As you have studied in the previous years, weathering and erosion are two main processes in the formation of different landforms on Earth. Weathering and erosion processes also have an important role in the formation of soil. The importance of soil. Soil is important for the plants that people and animals feed on to survive. Soil provides the plant with its basic needs for growth, and soil contains air, water, and nutrients. Soil is home to many different living organisms such as worms, insects, fungi, and bacteria. But what is the composition of soil? Soil is a mixture of different materials. When you examine a sample of soil by using a hand lens, you will notice the presence of small pieces of rocks, small pieces of leaves, and branches of trees, and other dark-colored materials. Also, there are other components of soil that can't be seen by naked eye. All types of soil composed of two types of ingredients. Number 1, inorganic ingredients. Number 2, organic ingredients. Number 1, inorganic ingredients. They are the non-living components of soil, such as air, water, rocks, and minerals. Rocks are composed of different types of minerals. But what are the minerals? They are the building units of rocks. During weathering process, due to the effect of the water and wind, rocks are broken down into small pieces such as silt, particles of sand. During erosion processes, the small pieces of rocks move from one place to another. During deposition processes, these small pieces of rocks will deposit and mix with other ingredients, forming different types of soil. How inorganic materials of soil formed? Organic ingredients, they are living components of soil. Organic ingredients such as remains of dead plants and animals. Decomposers organisms such as fungi, bacteria, and earthworm play an important role in the formation of soil. How organic materials of soil formed? Decomposers play an important role in keeping the balance of the ecosystem as they clean the environment by decomposing dead organisms. where decomposers recycle the remains of dead plants or planting and animals into chemical nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, which are released into soil, water, and air that help the flowing of energy in the environment again. Decomposers break down the organic material of dead organisms into components rich with nutrients which called humus, which increase the soil fertility that helps plant to grow. Note, minerals and organic materials represent about half of the most types of soil. The other half of soil consists of space between the particles of the soil known as pore space, where each pore space is filled with water and air. Different soils, different ingredients. There are different types of soil due to the different amount of ingredients that form them. Number one, difference of the amount of organic ingredients in the soil lead to changing the appearance of soil, changing the amount of nutrient that is available for plants. Number two, the difference in the size of particles and amount of different inorganic ingredients leads to changing the appearance and texture of the soil, changing the ability of soil to retain keep water, changing the ability of soil to allow roots to grow. The following table shows the size of particles of inorganic components that affect the classifying of different granules. Number one, clay. Number two, silt. Number three, sand. Clay has large particles, silt has medium particles, sand has small particles. So we have finished lesson number 1 in concept 2. We'll start with lesson number 2, sorry. Different types of soil. Soil can be classified into 3 different types according to the kind of particles that form it. Types of soil are sand soil, which contains large amount of sand particles. Number 2, silt soil, which contains large amount of silt particles. Number 3, clay soil, which contains large amount of clay particles. Now we will observe the difference between them, the 3 types of soil. We use the same amount of 3 soils and use these tools. Steps: examine the soil samples by using a magnifying glass. Then record your result about the color and size of particles for each sample. Its conclusion: sand soil allows water to flow fast through it. This means that it has large amount of pore spaces between its particles. So sand can retain small amount of particles. Silt soil allows a medium amount of water to flow through it. This means that it has medium amount of pore spaces between its particles. So silt soil can retain medium amount of water. Clay soil allows water to flow slowly through it. This means that it has a small amount of pore spaces between its particles, so clay soil can hold more amount of water. Ecosystem depend on soil. Soil and the climate. The soil is formed of many layers. The soil affects the climate of the ecosystem as the types of plants that grow in a certain soil have large impact on the temperature and the weather of the ecosystem. And also the climate of any ecosystem affects the characteristics of the soil in it. For example, the humid areas. During rainfall, the soil of humid areas retains larger amount of water that may wash down the nutrients of the soil. So some minerals may fall below the soil layers. This will form a hard layer that plant root can't penetrate. Note, in some humid areas, when there is too much water, the soils in these areas become waterlogged soils that contain very large amount of water and very little amount of air, and this doesn't help roots of plants to grow and also some living organisms in this soil to live. In hot and dry areas, the soil which reach with clay particles. The clay becomes dry due to drought conditions that will form a layer that doesn't allow much water to flow. Dry soils, the sand soil is dry and loose, that drains water quickly, so large trees can't grow in it. Savannas or grassland ecosystems that contain dry sand soil. Savannas are common in Central Africa. Like all ecosystems, like living organisms live in savannas depend on each other in feeding. Example, savannas contain a variety of grasses and small plants eaten by herbivores such as gazelles. Depend on these grasses and small plants eaten by large and fast carnivores such as lions and cheetahs. Depend on herbivores as gazelles. Soil in a bog. Clay soils which rich with clay particles retain much water very well, so the soil may be wet most of time. Most of plants that grow in this wet soil are basic for bog ecosystem. The moist conditions in bogs leads to very cool temperatures. The most common animals live in bog ecosystem are frogs and insects.